Hello everyone. I hope you all are doing fine and are taking care of yourselves. My name is Kanika Tandon and I am here with the video of Class 8 English 2nd. In our last video we had completed the explanation part of the poem and today we are going to do the exercise of that poem. Exercises and the question answers of that poem. Starting our today's video with the exercise of the poem, I wandered lonely as a cloud. First is match each stanza to the main point it expresses. So the first stanza describes a time when wandering leisurely by himself, the poet came upon a large number of daffodils. Second stanza describes the daffodils in more detail, gives a description of how many flowers there were. Next is third stanza describes the delight he feels but does not know the effect this scene will have on him in the future. And the fourth and the last stanza describes what he gained from the experience, how the memory of the daffodils fills his heart with pleasure. Now coming on to the question answers of this poem. Read these lines and answer the questions that follows. So these are the questions on page number 109. Question number A is, I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high over vales and hills, when all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils. So these are the lines taken from the poem. Question number 1 is, which two words describe the number of daffodils? So the words crowd and host describes the number of the daffodils to be a significant number. Question number 2, who does the I in the first line refer to? So the I in the first line refers to the poet who is taking a leisurely walk when he notices the daffodils. Question number 3, identify the simile in these lines. So we have to find the simile that are present in the line. So the simile is lonely as a cloud. Question number B is, the waves beside them danced, but they outdid the sparkling waves in glee. First question is, where were they? So the daffodils were stretched all along the lake and along the margin of a bay in a never-ending line. Next is, how was the poet feeling at the point of time? So question number 2 is, which phrase describes the dance? So the phrase tossing their heads in a spiritly dance tells us about their dance along the waves. Third is, who danced better? Which words tell us this? So the phrase outdid the sparkling waves in glee tell us about how the daffodils dance better than the waves. Question number C is, I gazed and gazed but little thought what wealth the show to me had brought. Question number 1, what was the poet gazing at? So the poet was gazing at the crowd of the daffodils along the lake. There were so many and so beautiful that he could take his eyes from. Next is, how was the poet feeling at that point of time? So the poet was feeling very cheerful and happy at that moment because he was in such a good and colorful company. Next is, which phrase means did not realize? What did the poet not realize? So the poet did not realize what a pleasant memory this is going to be for him. He was just living in the present and did not think of the future, when he may recall the same daffodils while feeling sad or low and instantly feel happy. Question number 3 is, why do you think the poet uses an image of a cloud to describe his loneliness? The poet uses an image of a cloud to describe his loneliness because clouds are distant from the real world They are separate and high up and are aloof, which would mean that they are lonely in their space. Also, they do not stay in the particular place, they are always wandering. The poet too is feeling very lonely of being cut off from the real world. He is also moving from one place to another, just like a cloud, and feeling restless. This is why he compares himself to a cloud, because he is also lonely and restless like a cloud. See, here the clouds and the poet is compared because he also wanders in the places. He also go to newer places where he knows nothing about the place, about the people, about how he's going to live there. He knows nothing, but still he wander around the area. Similarly, like the clouds, like clouds wander, it is not necessary that a single cloud is wandering over only one place. There are different places around uh, above which these clouds wander. So it is so the poet has actually compared himself to the clouds. Next is, to what does the poet compare the daffodils? Do you think this is an effective comparison? Give a reason for your answer. So now we have to write, to what thing does has the poet compared the daffodils. So the poet compares the daffodils to stars that shine and twinkle continuously in the Milky Way. He compares them to stars when he sees the daffodils stretched along the banks of a river in a never-ending line. I think it is an effective comparison because daffodils do look like golden stars when there are thousands of them stretched along a line. With the water and wind, the flowers appear beautiful and shiny and twinkling. Next is, give an example of personification from the poem. So an example of personification in the poem is the poet's reference to the daffodils tossing their heads in a sprightly dance when the wind blows, as if there were people dancing to music. Next is, contrast the poet's mood before, while and after he sees the daffodils. So the poet begins with the lines that indicate his pensive and thoughtful mood. When he sees the daffodils along the lake, his mood changes to one of wonder and joy. He enjoys their dance to the wind and is mesmerized with their beauty. Comparing them to stars in the sky, he is cheerful and happy and says that no one can be unhappy in such joyful company. Later, when he is on his own, he becomes thoughtful again and refers to the future when he would recall seeing the daffodils with joy and pleasure. He says that if he ever felt pensive or sad, he only had to think of daffodils with his mind's eyes and he would start feeling good all over again. Next is, what do you understand by the meaning of inward eye? What are the things you see with your inward eye? So inward eye refers to the images and memories that you draw up when you remember something through your mind's eye. It happens with every one of us now, when we close our eyes and we start to think about things and things starts to go in front of us like a movie. That is called inward eye. Some things are so vivid that you see a clear picture even after a significant amount of time has passed. This is true. Inward eye can also mean your subconscious mind, your soul that could conjure things for you. You clearly see things that you have enjoyed or hated, or things that have made a great impression on you through your mind's eye when you get a cue that makes you recall such things. With this, this poem is over. I will see you all in my next video with the explanation of the next chapter. Till then, keep studying and take care. Thank you.